And we are live. Gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. The podcast where we get on here as a couple of guys and talk shit because we love it. We love the sport. We love footy. We love each other every day of the week except for Monday nights between the hours of 6 to 7:30 p.m. We get on here to talk a lot of shit. So my name's Henry. I'm this week's host. You can find me on Twitter at Henry Wind. And we have a lot to celebrate this week, fellas. But before we get into talking about the Premier League, we have a massive celebration on our hands. Mr. Nicholas Hayflinger getting engaged over the weekend. Couldn't be happier for the fella. Nick, how do you feel tonight, and how do you feel about the engagement?
You know, I feel fantastic, boys. I found myself a incredible woman, and I will be spending the rest of my life with her, so that is awesome, and I'm very excited. Shout out Claire. One time, I will say something. It was funny. I was telling all of you guys at the engagement party, I was more nervous for the Chelsea game in the morning than the actual proposal because it was the most important 3 points that Chelsea has ever had for me, because I could not get engaged without 3 points. So very happy that they came away with those. But yes, it was fantastic, perfect night, and I haven't stopped smiling.
We are so thrilled for you, brother, and super great woman. You found a good one with Claire. Shout out Claire. Lucas Winkleman, how are you doing tonight, bro?
What's up? I'm good. Yeah, I know one of y'all will bring it up, so I'm gonna talk about yesterday. But no, unlike one of our fellow Mecca of Banter members, I'll say we are so back. What a game! I can't wait to talk about it. But good to see you guys. LCW21 on Twitter. Let's get her going. Happy
to have you, Andy Hoover. A lot to celebrate out of you this weekend. How are you?
I'm excited to be here for this one. I had an amazing weekend. I hope everyone else did as well. Nikki, clearly, congrats again. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff happened in the last 2 weeks. USA game, unreal. Spurs laying the absolute double boom on the champions. Also a huge deal. I was buzzing. What a day. But yeah, always happy to be here. Happy to chip in. Let's do it.
I'm so excited to hear your thoughts on the game, because every time I watch Tottenham, I don't give a fuck what happens to Tottenham, but I just know how the episode's going to go depending on how Tottenham does. Like, it's either you're going to be up for it, you're going to have knives out, or you're just going to be good vibes all around. This is a good vibes episode, and I can't wait to hear you talk.
Like most podcasts, I have absolutely nothing prepared. So what you're getting is authentic, off the dome, just straight unfiltered. So,
you know, it's there's no shortage of podcasts hosted by white men with a couple of microphones, you know, so why not do this ourselves? You know what I'm saying? Why not us? If not us, then who? And last but certainly not least, ladies and gentlemen, we have the return of the gaffer. We have Ryan Butchart coming off of the Lafayette High School men's soccer season, another successful season for the coach, and the return of the most annoying team in the Premier League. Liverpool will be a mainstay of this podcast from here moving forward, because we have to listen to Butch. But
perfect.
Welcome.
By the way, 8 points clear. Now
8 points clear. He decides he wants to come back. I mean, what's the deal? Yeah, it's like who was it? It was like Nick a couple of years ago sending Jake every time that Chelsea had a bad performance. He would send Jake
often a couple of years.
Yeah. Butch was sending Flan as the honorary Mecca of Banter member. But Butchie, how are you doing tonight, bro? Good to have you.
I'm great, man. I'm excited to be here with you guys. I had a blast playing with you guys last night. Just fun to play with my boys, man. It was good. I thought we all played really well too. We had a great game, man. Great game. Everybody performed well. We're all sore as hell. I'm pumped for this episode. I won't mention my Twitter because I got to keep it school friendly. Nothing fun on there. But hey, let's do it, man.
Yeah, nothing fun on there. But if you check his likes, might be some fun on there. I don't know.
Don't check the comments.
Figure out what's on there. Hey, a couple of us mentioned it on the intros, but boys, we went to the USA men's national team game a week ago. That's why we didn't have a podcast last week. We'd been talking about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks about how we were working with the United States men's national team to promote the game in St. Louis, and what an event it was. I want to say first and foremost, thank you to the U.S. men's national team for working with us on this game. We got to sit in 137 right behind the bench. We had a couple of rows where it was the Mecca of Banter, our plus ones, and pretty much a lot of our friends who listen to this podcast. My mom and her husband were there. Shout out Dylan Lee and his brother were there. It was just a bunch of fun, fellas. Couldn't have been a better night for the Mecca of Banter at City Park.
We were rowdy.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I woke up on Tuesday morning with no voice. I couldn't talk.
Bro,
We screamed at every sub that warmed up.
Yes.
I want to give a huge shout out to Maggie's across the street from City Park because those bartenders had me at the perfect level walking into the stadium, bro. I was at the perfect level of tipsy, and it was phenomenal.
It's amazing what a couple sodas does to you, bro.
Yes,
it's
bro.
amazing.
Shout out Maggie.
I felt like a little kid again, too.
Dude,
I
felt like a child.
I feel like when I go to Blues games or Cardinals games or even some City games, like you're rowdy, you know, especially if it's a playoff game or something. But like I haven't screamed at every sub like you guys said, or you know, yelled at every single call or anything like that in a long time. Let alone not being in the supporter section where everybody else around you is doing it. Like I know we had a couple people behind us that were getting a little pissed off that we were standing up the whole time and yelling, and it's like.
Like,
brother, I get it. They probably just don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
For the Mecca of Banter.
Yeah.
We definitely brought a level of excitement to the Capital One club that they'd probably not seen in a while. When you pour me and when you serve me citywides on draft, brother, it is all bars off. Like
we also sat like right in front of some of the coaching staff too.
Oh yeah,
and they were absolutely loving it.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, from the game perspective itself, what a difference a new coach makes. I mean, dude, there was a system. There was
Anthony Robinson is freaking balling under Pochettino.
Okay, Anthony Robinson goes wherever he wants. We've seen it on TV for Fulham on how successful he is. A lot of people talk about how he's the best left back in the Prem. Or has been for the last 2 years. He literally was everywhere on the pitch. The majority of the game, he was playing basically as a number 8, kind of in that position. At a couple times, he was at the right wing position. Kid goes wherever he wants, and it was truly just a beautiful thing to watch. But Christian's goal was fantastic. The more you watch it, the more you realize how hard of a finish that actually was. That was no easy thing. Yeah, he hit the dance in the corner. You know, Twitter was blowing up about that. Wherever you fall on the political spectrum, there was conversation to be had. But a rainy night at City Park, and as the boys said, we couldn't have been more up for it. I want to give a special shout out to Busio for being the target of so many of our chants. All we wanted to see was Busio on the pitch, and boy, did we get to see it. We got a lot of acknowledgement from every single sub that we saw. Brendan Aronson, class act at the end of the game, doing some extra fitness at the end of the game. Looked over at us. We asked for his jersey, and he looked over at the kids that were sitting right next to us and threw the jersey to the kids, which was so cool, man. Like that's the stuff that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. You know,
he might have been trying to throw it to Dobes there in the kids. We don't really know because it was our group and then Dobes with the kids surrounding him.
Like 15 kids aged like 7 to 12. And
it was so fun. I mean, it was great. And I think what made it so special was obviously we put in a lot of work with the U.S. men's national team. We, thanks to you all listening to this podcast or those of you that follow us on the social medias, like we were able to partner with them and sell a lot of tickets. So thank you so much to everyone who was able to do that. And a special shout out to Paul at US Soccer for hooking us up with that. But we also got to share it with our plus ones too. And I think that that's something that's so special. Whenever we get to make those memories as the Mecca, it's great. But when we get to share it with the Mecca, etc., that is what dreams are made of. So what a fun night. I can't wait for the next one. It was pretty much a sold out crowd, which there's a lot of discourse around the U.S. men's national team not being able to do that. And for us to get really, really close on a Monday night in the pouring down rain, not so bad.
Yeah, we looked good.
Would do it again.
Would 10 out of 10 times again.
Would.
Electric event.
Would. The only thing that I have to say and it wouldn't be the Mecca of Banter without a little bit of bantering. But Pochettino, you could have at least turned around and acknowledged us. We're singing
Gave
your
us
name.
nothing, man.
No.
Gave us nothing.
Gave us nothing.
Literally, he was uninterested. And then when they did the walk around the park, they didn't even fucking come to our section. They started by the goal and then went around everyone and then went
To
to
the
the
tunnel.
tunnel. So
Brutal.
Pochettino, next time, brother, we're finding where you're staying and we're going to get a little bit of acknowledgement.
I just wanted a thumbs up, dude. Anything even remotely close that
Would have made whose entire life.
we got it from Busio. We got it from East Mamba, Chris Richards.
Dude, Brandon Vasquez gave us a little one of these, just a little sideways thumbs up. That's all we got, just a little one of those, and that was enough. It was enough for me.
I wonder if they're like, dang, these guys know us, like, for real, for real. Like, we're not just some, like, oh, number 17. It's like,
Yeah.
Brandon, you're balling in Mexico, bro. Like, I know exactly where you are and who you are.
I do want to share the story that's been shared many a time since the game, which is actually of Nick, your daughter, Riley, trying to go get Christian's jersey. So, when Christian Pulisic and Weston McKennie come off the pitch, Nick sends Riley down to get Christian Pulisic's jersey. So she's yelling for Christian, just doesn't acknowledge her, whatever, it happens. And then Weston is facing her.
Foot away.
And we're all yelling at her, like, ask Weston for his jersey. Ask him for his jersey. Ask him for his jersey. And then so you can see her kind of saying some things. And then finally she comes back to the stands and no jersey in hand. And we're like, you tried. And Nick, you were like, what did you say? And she said, well, I asked Weston for Christian Pulisic's jersey.
Oh, no.
And Nick, you go, you can't say that. She's like, why not? His jersey. Which is just so funny. That is the beauty of the ignorance of a little kid, and it will be forever funny. And shout out Riley for giving us some laughs last week.
True.
Fellas, let's dive into the English Premier League, because as much as we love to be on the same team, I think we're here because we like being on different teams. We're going to start off with the game of the weekend, the highlight of the weekend, the game that I cannot wait to hear about. Tottenham absolutely fucked on Manchester City, which not only gives them, 5 losses in a row? Or was that 6? I've lost count at this point because my club has never done that. So it's 5 losses in a row for Manchester City. And Andy Hoover, take it away, brother.
Where do you want me to start? Boom.
Everywhere.
Hey. Boom.
Yeah, let's throw a couple darts on the board.
I mean, this is it, lads. It doesn't get better than this. Ange ball is real, and sometimes we see it. It's the coolest thing ever. It's just, that's been the problem. Is just everyone knows and sees and can tell that. Holy shit, they do. It's hilarious that it's just Man City that has this problem with Spurs. First off, hysterical.
I saw a meme. It was like, if Spurs played City every game, they'd have so many trophies.
Yeah, literally.
And how does that work at all? It felt so good. Like just every single opportunity that they went forward with felt like this could be a goal, no sweat. I mean, and it wasn't necessarily like a counterattacking masterclass. It was the same XG. Similar possession. Momentum was pretty even. Man City probably should have had 1 or 2. But
this could have been 4-4-5.
Oh yeah,
it could have been so big.
That one Son shot from the corner off the top of the box that Ederson had to stretch for, brother. We would have not heard the end of me.
In like the first 10. He missed
Dude.
Hey, and to his credit, Vicario played. This was the best game I think I've seen Vicario play.
With what, Hoover?
With
what?
It wouldn't be
with a broken ankle.
Yeah, he played
with
60
a broken
minutes
ankle.
with a broken ankle. So leave it to Spurs and whoever's running our voodoo doll to just keep it interesting. So yeah, now Fraser Forster's our keeper, and I'd rather jump off the Golden Gate, but it's okay. It's okay. Don't take this from me. You can't take this from me yet. Yeah, James Maddison, back. So back. I mean, the run, it was like a 25, 30-yard run, and as soon as Decky picked up that ball, on the wing. He was like, I know exactly where this is going to go. And beautiful pass. Kulusevski, brother. We're talking different
my
gravy.
next thing. You've been on that horse for a very, very long time, and I think I've been kind of like, Hoove, I see where you're at, but like you could be a little biased. But he put in a performance the other day that I was like, oh shit, like he's fucking quality.
He's
just been on a tear since the international break. He has been
him on the ball is just he has like a dominant presence where like you're not getting this from me. I'm gonna play this ball, and like the ball that he played to Son that then Son played across, like he had a great game.
Bro, that run to Sonny, where he nutmegged Gunwan and then did a shuffle pass out to Son and then he feeds it back to him. We're talking different gravy. I have a new agenda. This one's gonna stick. This one's gonna stick around for a while. If Spurs finish anywhere top six, maybe top 7. Guys go out. We're seeing Dejan Kulusevski in the team of the year at the end of the season. If this trajectory continues to roll, the way that it's been rolling, I don't think that that's that wild of a take. I think we're early. I think I'm early. I think Spurs fans all fully believe that, but it's not to be overlooked. And I think sometimes the subtlety of how good he is does get overlooked. It's not always the assists and the goals. He does those, but just the dominating play through the middle. He didn't get credited on anything from that Son, pass, but like that, it was that cross ball to Solanke. He's not going to get credited for any of that. That entire play was on his shoulders. So I literally think
this isn't you think of all the right wings in the Prem.
That's what I was about to say. Like it's not even bad.
But the thing is he's playing everywhere. He's not just playing right wing.
Yeah.
He's playing he's playing an 8. He's playing a 10. He's playing on the right wing.
So he's hard for him to get into that 11. Like the
without having a specific position.
Right, but
that's true.
If you look at him as like a 10 now, essentially, name 3 other guys that are in that conversation. Like Odegaard this far hasn't played enough for me to be in the conversation. He will be by the end of the year because that's just how it goes. Cole Palmer, is he on the right? Is he a 10? There's a lot of nuances with that for sure. And that's why I think if any reason, that's why it's a bold call, is because no one really can set him in what position he's playing right now. So that's my wild take. It's great to see Sonny in on the act. He played well. You can tell, man, it tears me apart that he's not the same guy. And that's just what happens when your goats get older. That's life.
Yeah, it's sad.
But then, I mean, good Lord, the pass he had to Matters for that chip goal was disgusting. The complete no-look cutback that pulled 4 players out. He was right. It was
awesome.
Chip in.
That finish from Matters, I was
on his left foot.
Yeah,
so I was like, whoa.
Matters created that play as well. Like he turned on the top of the box, played Son, did the overlap. Like it was well done.
He's always been a really technical, good footballer, I think, and I think we're seeing a lot more of his intelligence now too. Like as you grow as a man, and he turned 29, 28 on Saturday, so like he's gonna have to end up taking more of that role. That's the way that creative midfielders go, but we're seeing it now, which is so fun.
Yeah, I also think like what's weird is City had a couple of chances, but as soon as you all went up 2-0, but as soon as you all went up 2-0, I was not worried about City coming back whatsoever. There was just something about the way that the game was going, and maybe it was the way that you all set up defensively, and but I also don't think that it was like a smash and grab of like a kick and run and like a counter. It didn't feel that way. It was just City couldn't unlock it. Like they could not unlock the. I hesitate to even say the low block, but like you have to keep in mind, bro. Like Hoover, share with us who your defensive pairing was. Who was your center back pairing,
brother? Ben Davies emptied out his pockets after the match and found Erling Haaland.
That's what I'm saying, bro. It was not like it was like Christian Romero and Mickey Van de Ven, which like I think coming away from this game, I'd be like, okay, like we've talked about numerous times that defensive pairing being could be. If they stay injury free, they could be really, really, really good. This was not that. And City just didn't have that killer instinct. And I just can't quite figure out what it is. I cannot figure out what's caused such a bad regression. Of course, there's Rodri being out of the 6 role that, leaves them really exposed on the counter, of course. But Rodri doesn't break teams down at the top of
By
the box.
himself.
And
Yeah.
yeah, I haven't figured it out. I don't know.
I-
It's a weird spot.
I definitely know less about the Man City downfall than I do about the Spurs, increase, like in the way that they've trajected from, losing to Ipswich. Ben Davies, I don't get it, to be honest, because he played so well. We're talking like Gucci store Johnny Evans here. I mean, like he's the designer version.
City had so many chances. I thought they played good, but there was a couple times where like Holland was wide the fuck open because Davies was not marking him correct, and then Holland just missed.
They had 2 XG, to be fair.
There was they had a lot of good opportunities off of mistakes, but I agree with you. The performance overall, giving a shutout to Man City is no easy task. That's incredible, but definitely had some mistakes that could have led to goals and probably should have led to goals.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the same side of that, all though, is that I think Spurs could have had another 1 or 2 as well. They weren't necessarily as cut and dry, but that one save on Kulusevski from Ederson, that was an insane save. His arm swing, just sneak one out and then throw it
was
over.
nuts.
That was crazy. So that's just football, but dude, that feels so good. We're sitting. Where are Spurs now in the table? 6.
Who do you play next? Because whoever you play next, I'm betting them to win.
Fulham. I would also take Fulham, and that's why I laughed when Hen was like, I never thought that they were going to come back from 2-0. I was like, brother, it's 3-0 in the 80th, and I think we could still 100% lose this. I've watched this team for way too long. But yeah, now Spurs are what? Top 6. They have one of the best goal differentials in the league. Defensively is okay, but they're great on the attack, obviously. So, we're holding, 19 points along with Forest and Villa, Fulham just behind, but their 12 less goal differential. So,
does a result like this, Hoover, take away from, it wasn't so long ago, it was literally 2 weeks ago that you were on here having a fucking meltdown about Ange Postecoglou, about how inconsistent it was and how it can't steady the ship. Does a result like this relax your mind, or is it still he's under pressure if he can't figure this out?
I think it has to, in the sense of, like I said, this could be every week. This could be something that you build on and move forward with. But no, dude, if we lose to Fulham, it's all right, we're fucking so back. Then it's a whole question again, even though we just throttled City that can't beat anyone mid-table. So, I mean, yes, it does, because everyone, I agree, thinks, okay, it just needs to happen more often. We knew this prior, but this one is so emphatic and such a big deal. And City were in a down spot. There's no denying that either.
Yeah.
But this one wasn't the last couple of losses. This one was. This one is a devastating loss for them, I would imagine. They'll be fine long term. End of the day. But they've never done that. Pep's never done that. They have to bounce out of that now. And their objective clearly is to win everything all the time. Whereas Spurs is just fucking look good for 75% of the season.
For anything.
Yeah, just try and do something. It'd be great. But yeah, I didn't doubt him. I said that was the only thing that could leave any doubt is the consistency. So,
yeah.
What's the same thing that I've said every single week on this podcast? Win or lose, do it next week.
The last thing we'll say about the game, I did see in the pre-match presser, Pep Guardiola did give an all-time bar, which was you're allowed to lose 4 in a row when you've won 4 in a row league titles, which I was like, okay,
that's a bar.
Awesome. Yeah, I was like, yeah. Fuck.
I love seeing the tweets from rival fans that were like, he's got to go, doesn't he?
That's so funny. It's so funny. Moving on, Liverpool narrowly escapes the Southampton Saints with a 3-2 victory. And let me tell you, Butch, before you get into it, my man Sean Hughes was sweating this game out. We played some pickup together Sunday morning, and my man was on top of a fucking mountain in the first half, and it quickly dwindled down by the end of the game. But you prove to do it again and again, as annoying as that is. You're 8 points clear at this stage of the season. Butchie, how does it feel coming off of this performance?
Say it one more time.
You all are fucking horrible to watch.
Hey, dude, I'm buzzing, mate. I'm buzzing, lads. 8 points clear with now. Granted, so we've got a tough part of our schedule coming up, right? We've got Real Madrid midweek, and then we have to play City on Sunday or Saturday, one of the two.
Incredible. I did not know that.
So,
That's awesome.
we
That's
are
so
playing-
good.
We are playing, yeah, we're playing City on. It's at Anfield, but
Off
I
of
think
4
another
loss to Spurs. Oh, you guys are fucked.
Yeah, and I will
Dude,
say
that-
Real Madrid is playing horribly right now. City's playing horribly right now. You all are just going to waltz into this week. I know it.
I'm nervous, but I mean, shout out Sean Hughes one time. His Southampton boys performed very well. A couple of those kids looked really good. That Dibbling guy,
Dibbling is a dog.
Dibbling was really solid
Dog.
on
Who's
that right
making
side,
Van
man.
Dijk not look like Van Dyke?
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but you know,
Pretty frequently.
But no, the boy. I think it's another example. The boys found a way to get it done, right? I mean, it wasn't the prettiest performances, but again, our Savior in Christ, Mo Salah, the Egyptian king, just continues to justify the odds that he's past his peak because he's still in his peak. 10 goals, 6 assists in 12 Premier League games this season. Leads the charts in stats. He got it done. Can we also talk about how that Southampton PK was not a PK? That was outside the box. And VAR, what is it used for? That was crazy.
It's a makeup for the Kelleher situation because that was definitely a penalty, and that did not
definitely
get
could
a
have been,
penalty.
but still, like
It was
VAR is there
well.
for a reason. That was outside the box. I just didn't understand that one, but just I'm super proud of the boys for finding ways to win, even when we're not playing at our peak, at our best. I don't think we were at our best by any means, but my boy Soboslai on the score sheet, love that guy. He's been an integral part of this team. I've spoken about it earlier, but him and Gravenberch, their rise as players has really sparked our midfield because a lot of people, I think, kind of questioned our midfield going into the season because we didn't sign anybody. And, you know what I'm saying? And not signing a midfield player when you're a top 4 club in the Premier League is kind of crazy when you needed midfield players. But I guess Arnie kind of saw something in those guys that now is being justified with their performances, that they're one of the first names on the team sheet. Soboslai is putting in a solid 8 out of 10 almost every week. Gravenberch, same thing, 8 out of 10 every week. And then McAllister is obviously like the plug for our offense defense, right? So just super proud of him, man.
Dude, I think
just a great
Gravenberch was the player that I think I was the least worried about on Liverpool. And I don't know why. I don't think we ever saw a ton of him to be like, oh, he's going to be so good in the future. But there's like small instances where the kid's a baller. Like where he came from, what he was doing previously. And obviously you're not buying Soboslai. He's not doing the same thing, as well. Where did he come from? Leipzig?
Yeah.
So like, Curtis Jones is the guy that I'm like, really? We're relying on him, and he's been he's been good. It's not good. He's a beast, dude. He's huge.
Dude, yeah. Henry was the one that found him like 4 or 5 years ago. Like we were just like Dude, I remember Henry and I like playing FIFA.
Yeah.
And he'd be like talking about with this Gravenberch kid.
Yeah.
He was like 18.
He's the guy, bro.
He was
I
like,
would
this
buy-
is going to be the truth.
At Ajax, I was like, sign him up.
Dude,
Let's go.
I would buy him in the beginning, like 2019. He was like the wonder kid that you had like 37 plus potential on. I'm like, bro, yeah, I brought him into every team I ever had.
Absolutely.
Couldn't hang on to
Yeah,
him.
man.
And Fulham had to sell him to Real Madrid for like 80 million. It always happens.
He's filling up to that. He's living up to that price tag now, man. He looks like a baller, like you said. I think he's going to be a star, man. He's going to be great. But credit to Arnie on that. Arnie's got the best out of him, right? So I'm just buzzing, top of the league, man. God, if we beat City, next week's going to be fun, fellas. It's going to be a fun week. It's going to be a fun week, let me tell you.
I think that the Premier League Twitter will go into a fucking spiral if you all beat City next week.
I agree.
I think the storylines will just be outrageous. And I think the only thing that we'll really be able to compare it to is whenever Arsenal had such a big gap on City at Christmas and then they bottled the title, and then we'll be able to compare that, We'll see. But I mean, it'll be crazy going into Boxing Day and going into the Christmas break.
Yes.
I know that I've said it on here before, but I want to double down. Mo Salah sucks to watch. He just
changing
2
the
goals.
Bro, a penalty, and then he skies.
Bro, don't penalty me. Cole Palmer scores 47 a freaking season. You Larry?
Cole Palmer's at 47 total, you dipshit. That's how many fucking Salah has every year.
Dude, I mean,
straight.
I will say the penalty goal with the shirt ripoff was kind of crazy.
Taking your shirt off after a penalty, like
crazy.
That was kind of cringe.
Wow.
That was kind of cringe. But you know what, dude? He is the game-winning goal. I don't care.
Okay,
I really don't.
Butch. Flan came on here 2 weeks ago and talked about this. I need to get your thoughts on it.
Mhm.
What is it? FSG, Fenway Sports Group.
Yeah.
They have their policy on not signing long-term extensions on players over 30 or 31, whatever it is.
Mhm.
Mo Salah and Van Dijk fall into that category. I feel like Mo Salah is on this media train right now where he's every chance he gets to talk to the media, he talks about how he wants to stay at Liverpool, but the ownership won't get it done. And it's creating this really weird thing. What happens with Mo Salah at the end of the season? Your way too early prediction. What happens with Mo Salah?
My heart wants them to break the rule and sign him to a 2-year extension, because that would put him through the club he'd be 34, which we also got to remember, guys. Salah's in insane shape.
Yeah, he is.
He plays and looks like he's 27.
Yeah, he said.
He was
He's
right.
I am, guys.
So, I think a 34-year-old Salah 2 years from now will still be producing. Obviously he'd be having to be rested more often because of his age, but he'd still be scoring. So I would sign him to 2-year extension. That's me. Go ahead.
No, I certainly don't think a 33-year-old, 34 Mo Salah is a pity sign and play either.
No.
He's contributing. There's just no way he's not. He just always has.
100%. And I think personally, I think they'll let him walk.
You think they'll stick to their guns?
Because I think FSG is gonna sit there and say, well, if we break the rule for one player, every single player is going to ask for extensions when they're 31, and we're going to not want to do that with every player.
Yeah, and if you do it with Salah, you have to do it with Van Dijk, because I think Van Dijk's been more important to your guys' team.
100%. Wow. And you're going to have to do it with Robbo in about a year. When Robbo's over 30, Robbo's going to sit there and say, I want to stay.
He's going to get swapped out for the other Robbo. It's cool.
Yeah, literally.
I would be, dude, I would.
I want that to happen, bro. I'm so in on that rise of Anthony Robinson.
That'd be sick. No, but yeah, Henry, I think he walks, but my heart wants him to sign a 2-year deal.
I think Van Dijk signs a 1-year extension if, and this is a big if Real Madrid doesn't come in for him. Mm-hmm. If Real Madrid comes in for him, I think he goes to Madrid. But if Madrid doesn't come in for him, I think he signs a 1-year extension for Liverpool. I think Mo Salah walks. I think Mo Salah goes to Saudi Arabia.
That's what I was about to
I think
ask.
he
Is
gets
if
a
he
bag.
goes, yeah,
Yeah, because I mean they'll pay him a bag and a half, bro.
Yes.
Bag and a half.
he'd be the best. He'd be the most informed player to go to Saudi
for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's okay. I'll give him this. Salah, noted, very good guy with all of his volunteer and charity stuff that he does, especially in Egypt. I could see this being the most realistic option is Saudi bag, bigger operations on a charity and volunteer front. So
Totally.
that makes a lot of sense to me. But I would take him. Are you kidding me? Like I'd take him on a 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing that makes it so interesting. So, like, if we were all playing FIFA, if we were all playing Football Manager, like, of course, we would sign them to a 2-year extension. But, Bush, you bring up an interesting point that if you do it once, you have to do it for everyone else that asks. But at the same time, man, I think there's 2 people in that squad, Van Dijk and Mo Salah, over the last, I mean, honestly, since Steven Gerrard left, that could play
7
that
years.
card. You know what I'm saying? Like
Agree.
even Jordan Henderson, who's the captain since Gerrard left, couldn't even play that card. He was not that guy
Great captain.
like Salah and Van Dijk have been. So I don't know. It's an interesting thing because FSG could also be like, hey, Robbo, you're not Van Dijk and you're not Mo Salah, is what it is. But it just creates more complications than it does create solutions. So it's a tough one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, 8 points clear. You have to be feeling pretty good about yourself and about the team.
Yes.
It's time to talk about the biggest club in England. Manchester United tied Ipswich Town away.
And tough team to play. Tough team to play. Hey,
It's
not everybody can do it.
Manager bounce, tough.
It's been well documented. It's a tough team to play. Now, fellas, I could go in on this game, but I figured there's probably some punches you all want to throw, some questions you all want to ask, and out of respect to my fellow hosts of this podcast, I want to allow you all the opportunity to share first what your thoughts were and any questions that you may have to a United fan at this stage of the game. I'm going to let you all go first.
Are you or are you not back? Because according to LJ, you are.
The Mecca of Banter group chat, ladies and gentlemen. 81 seconds into the game when Marcus Rashford scored that goal, LJ says, we're so back. And then at the end of the game, when we tie 1-1, what was his follow-up? I might have spoken too soon or something like that.
This one or something.
Yeah. I might have overestimated. We're not back, Lucas. No, we're not. We're not back yet. Yeah.
Good. I love to hear it. That would have been my answer as well.
Honestly, the only question I have, Henry, is I told you this the other day. I've been watching some interviews of this Amarin dude. Don't mind him. I think he's kind of whatever. And every time he's been asked, what are we expecting from his United, or what are we expecting to see in this next game? He's only had so much time with it. And every time he's answered with an idea. As his answer is, you will see some idea. You will see some identity. You will see somewhat of an idea moving forward. Did you see that in the game today or the other day? And what was that idea to you? Because I maybe saw a formation change, but that's about it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I didn't learn much, frankly.
No.
Yeah. So I think that some big things that I found was the formation change for sure. The 3-4-3. It's obvious. It's what people have been talking about for the last couple of weeks. But I think the other thing, and what's weird is the biggest thing that I saw was actually Johnny Evans. So Johnny Evans has been a really stopgap defender for the last year and a half. He's had to play an absurd amount of minutes over the last year and a half. There's a couple of times, and Nick, you'll understand this really well. There's a couple of times in the first half specifically where Johnny Evans pressed into like this center midfield to try to, looks like it basically tried to stop the turn in ways that Johnny Evans has not pressed in a year and a half. And it got him way out of position. So way out of position in a way that Johnny Evans has never pressed in the last year and a half. And lo and behold, 2 days after the game, Ruben Amorim comes out and says, yeah, I asked Johnny Evans to go and press that central player. So Amari Hutchinson a couple of times received the ball right at basically the halfway line. Johnny Evans broke the defensive line, stepped up, got turned because he's not fast enough. He's not quick enough. He's almost 96 years old. So he got turned. He looks like Henry Wind on a Sunday league out
I was
there.
about to say, don't Delit step in there, maybe?
Yeah.
Like,
but the thing is, so he got turned. But like what was interesting is like I saw that in the first half and I was like, Johnny Evans just broke the defensive line in a way that that's never happened. And so I saw the idea a little bit of what he wanted to do. You also saw Delo and Amad Diallo stay exceptionally wide, very much wide on the touchline, not making those darting runs on the inside like we saw a couple of times. And then there's a lot of times where there was the overload attacking, where Diallo and Delo were the most high guys on the wing playing that ball in. We saw Diallo's cross into Marcus Rashford. Even though it was a mishit on the cross, I'll be the first one to say it. You still got the idea of what he wanted. Now, in the second half, there was what I felt was a big regression back into what these United players tend to do, in which was a lack of creativity, a lack of decisiveness, and a lack of what the fuck do I even do at the top of the box.
It's like confidence almost. And it's wild saying that for like a United player, I guess.
Yeah. And there was no better example of that confidence being an issue than Joshua Zirkzee and Rasmus Højlund when they came into the game. So Rasmus Højlund had an opportunity where he picked up the ball probably 10 yards outside the box on the right-hand side. He cut into his favored left foot, and every bit of me thought that he was going to at least attempt to curl it into the far corner. But instead, he did this like weird half shot, half pass wide, and it went straight to the defender. It made no sense at all. And then a couple minutes later, Joshua Zirkzee picks up the ball in a similar situation, and he's at the top of the box on the right-hand side. And I went back and watched it a couple of times today. I think he shot the ball. I don't know, but he sent it into row Z, ladies and gentlemen. It went into the top fucking row of the pedestrians there. And so I think that there's a little bit of this confidence decision making after the game. Ruben Amorim said that, for the last 2-3 years, players have played a specific way. He used Delo as an example where he asked, where historically Delo has played the ball forward and then gone into the central midfield, almost that drifting inverted wing back that the Trent role has been so popular. Trent Alexander-Arnold playing that role, playing it forward, dropping into the 8. That's what he does. But Ruben Amorim said, I asked him not to do that. So now he's having to break his own pattern that he's formed over the last 3 years. But just to call a spade, Ruben Amorim came in, over the last couple of days just for blood. Just reading out a couple of the quotes that he said was, Bruno wants to play the long pass all the time. Zirkzee has to understand that he has to go into the box for crosses. Delo used to pass the ball into the center backs and go inside to play as a midfielder. Now he has to stick to the position. Onana saved us at least 2 times. He tried to connect with the players, and that was very good for me. So he's calling players out individually is something that we haven't seen in a long time. Ten Hag was this revolving circle of trust me, I've won 2 trophies, trust me. Whereas Ruben Amorim's like, yeah, they didn't fucking do what I asked them to do, and these are the players that specifically didn't do it, and they're going to have to learn. But I will say that probably my favorite thing that I've seen over the last 3 weeks of PR and interviews and all of this shit is that Amorim just basically says, I have a way that I like to play football, and we are going to practice that relentless 3-4-3. That is what we're going to do. It is not going to be fluctuating based on the opponent that we're playing. So that gives me hope that we're going to drill that into these guys. But also, he's come out and said numerous times that if you do things for the team if you are normally a left winger and you're being asked to play as a left back or a left wing back for the team and you go out and give a top-notch effort, I am always going to defend you. I'm going to defend you to the press. I'm going to defend you in the dressing room. I'm going to defend you at practice. But if you're a left winger and you refuse to put in the tracking back as a left wing back because you think that you're more important to the team, get the fuck out. And I just appreciate that so much as a manager of saying like, hey, I'll defend you. I'll make you better. But you got to do the responsibilities for the team. You got to be a team player. And even though it didn't last the entire game, in the first half, you saw Marcus Rashford pressing all over the pitch. You saw him running down balls that 6 months ago he couldn't be asked to do that. He was really putting in a performance. I just think it's going to take time, gentlemen. I think it's going to take time for Amarim's system to come and play. I was really surprised with the lineup. I was so surprised to see a Casemiro-Eriksen partnership in the center of the midfield, especially with having Ugarte, who is coming from Sporting system. He already knows the system. I was so surprised with that, but directly after the game, Amarim said, hey, there's going to be a ton of changes for the next game. There's going to be a ton of changes next week in the Premier League. So I'm just expecting pretty much all the way until Christmas, he's going to be tinkering and experimenting with his players. Positives from the game, I'm walking away with Andre Onana was great. He made some massive saves. We could have lost that game. Definitely. We could have lost that game, and Onana kept us in. And Amad Diallo is continuing to do what Amad Diallo has done all season. He looks like the most dangerous player on the field, and we had a lot of guys not show up. Diogo Dalot looked like a shell of himself. I think Johnny Evans was trying to overplay. I think that's part of the system. It just is what it is. Bruno really was not in the game whatsoever. You couldn't really see him. Garnacho was pretty wasteful. Amarim was pretty clear on decision-making after the game as well. So I think we learned, to answer your question, Nick, I think we learned some stuff. It was not the performance that I wanted to see. I would have loved to see like a 4-0 new manager bounce game, obviously, but it is really nice to see on the United side of Twitter that the fan base is pretty unanimously on board with he's got to have time to implement a system, and it just is what it is. Amarim himself said, hey, we're probably going to suffer for the next little bit, but we can choose to suffer now and be better 12 months from now than do the exact same thing the previous managers have done, which is abort the system, just try to do quick wins.
Oh, I know all about that, Hen.
Yeah, and a year from now, be no better than we are now. So, I don't know. It wasn't great. Obviously, you never want to drop points to Ipswich, but is what it is.
Great goal, by the way. Banger.
Ipswich's goal? Dude.
Yeah, banger.
It was so before the game, I was telling my brother, I was watching the game with Jake, and I was telling him about Omari Hutchinson, how he grew up in Arsenal's academy, wasn't getting the minutes that he wanted to, went over to Chelsea's academy. Chelsea sold him to Ipswich. And I was telling him, I was like, this kid is a baller. He's so good. I think JP actually put me on him years and years ago when he was at Arsenal. And Jake was like, okay, cool. And then he hit that shot. And Jake was like, oh, that's the guy.
That guy.
Yeah, bro, he's fucking unbelievable. But, you know, we move. We have a midweek game in the Europa League, which, Nick, obviously you don't really know much about that, but we have that midweek to where we can tinker with the system again. We can change things up. I expect to see a lot of differences in the Thursday game. Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully celebrate that with 3 points, because genuinely, if we don't get 3 points in this Europa League game, we're pretty much out of that competition. So we really need it.
And ruined is the wine Thanksgiving.
I mean, fuck. I might as well not even show up. It'd be bad.
Hey, I want to throw in Mazraoui's a dude. He's a dude, bro.
Dude. For 12 million?
Yeah.
He's
Come
a
on.
dude, man.
Come
He's
on.
so good, bro.
We're talking about signing of the season territory with
he is
Mazraoui.
so good, bro.
Yeah, I mean, Amarim in the same press conference just basically said Mazraoui is so smart. He can play anywhere on the field, and I believe it.
I agree.
I think he's just great. I think he's awesome.
I'll
I'll be very curious of where he ends up, whether it's in like the back three or if he's one of the wingers.
When he leaves, you guys, yeah.
Nick.
Nah.
Ouch. Ooh, boo.
That's actually
Ooh,
right.
that hurts.
Too, frankly.
No. I think that, I mean, here's the deal. Basically, Mazraoui is locked down. He is a starter in one of those positions. But you have guys like Diego Dalot who have massively regressed this season. We don't know if Luke Shaw is really going to ever return. Tyrell Malacia was on the bench this weekend, didn't see any minutes. Mazraoui is our lockdown starter for the rest of the season, unless we go out and we get Alphonso Davies, which may happen. I don't know. You're looking at him as one of our lockdown starters in the 11, and there aren't too many guys in the team right now that can say, "Hey, I'm a lockdown starter." He just happens to be one of them.
Yeah, I will not. No, there's no way you get Alphonso Davies, but it makes a lot of sense given his positioning and how he plays amongst a 3-4.
Yeah,
that's all I'll give it to you.
The thing is I don't have high hopes either, but it would make a lot of sense. Like I feel the same way about Jeremy Frimpong. I don't have a lot of confidence in that whatsoever, but that's the kind of player that I think would make a lot of sense in the system. But Alphonso Davies on that left side, brother, would be outrageous.
Thursday's a big game.
Big game, brother. Speaking of big games, Chelsea got 3 points again, which is something that I'm also trying to kind of break the habit of after last year and the year before that, saying that so infrequently. Here we are, Chelsea picking up 3 points. How do you feel, Nikki?
I said at the beginning of this podcast, this was probably the most nervous I've been for a Chelsea game in a very, very long time. But 3 points is 3 points, and that is exactly what I wanted. Also, being third on the table is something that if you told me at the beginning of the year we would be at, I'd call you a liar. But hey, we're here. So super happy about that. I think Caicedo has been putting on some performances of late that have been worth his price tag. I also think Enzo heard everyone talking shit and saw all those stats of him.
You mean about him abandoning his wife?
Oh, no,
I've abandoned my child.
And him being a racist, or what were they talking shit about?
Oh, calm yourself. Is Messi a racist? Like, are we just going to go down the entire...
Whoa, easy with the accusations over here.
So call out Leo like that, bro.
Yeah, easy with the accusations.
Call out Leo like that, bro.
Okay.
Easy with the accusations over here, Nick.
Actually, he was singing the chant too, but you haven't said anything about that.
Hey, is there no video proof?
Oh, okay. Whatever you guys said. But I not even that stuff. Also, I know you just mentioned it. The celly of "call me" from him after the goal was wild.
I don't understand that. Why did he do that celebration?
I think it was like "I'm single" type thing is how I kind of took it.
Damn.
Whatever.
Not my 8. Couldn't be my 8. I'll tell you that much.
You say that, but whatever he's doing is working because the man has been putting on some performances, a goal and assist for us against Leicester. I think he's been doing well. The other person I want to talk about is João Felix. I fucking love that man.
Such a player.
We need to get him and Cole on the field together somehow. I think it's kind of starting to work a little bit. They're still trying to figure it out. But I do think there's a world where we have them both on the pitch and pretty much starting our attack moving forward, which I think is awesome. Also, another shout out that I will be the first to admit, hand up accountability. I talked mad shit on this man for a very long time, but Nico Jackson has been doing a lot of good things in a shit position because I think the striker position at Chelsea is kind of a where everyone goes to die, in that for a couple of years, especially the way we play, possession based in the final third, and you're literally just on the end of crosses, and it's sometimes can be boring. And I think he's been doing the role brilliantly. His goal was Drogba-esque. He bodied the center back, got the ball back from Enzo, and then finished with the outside of his foot. I thought
that was a really good goal. I saw that and I was like, he single-handedly bossed himself into that position.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
I also, before Hoover brings it up or you guys bring it up, I do obviously think the refereeing was a little questionable. I also think one thing I will say is it was definitely on both sides. There should have been, I don't know if it was a red, but a questionable foul on Palmer that could have possibly been a red card. I think the offsides on Madwicky's goal was never VAR'd and never looked at, and that was a question that I had. Obviously, the penalty that in the second half that wasn't called on Leicester. If I'm a center back, and I've been in that position many times, if that is called on me, I'm calling it soft, but I've definitely seen it called in the past, so I won't sit here and act like it wasn't a clear and obvious one. I think the fact that it wasn't called and then it didn't have enough to be overturned was like a lot that goes into it. I think if it was called immediately and then they went to VAR, I think it would have probably stood because there was contact, but I also just think it would have been a soft pen because I think he pushed the ball way too far out in front of him and then he clipped, I think it was Colwell's thigh as he was kind of just standing there in that spot. Yeah. It was Fofana, and then Colwell got the ball after the touch. So I definitely think the ref was questionable. I think it's interesting that Leicester was kind of talking about it at the end of the game and like holding on to that a little bit. But as I said before, 3 points is 3 points, and I was very excited for the win.
Yeah, I mean, your win got the dismissal of Steve Cooper. He got fired after the game, and it sounds like Ruud van Nistelrooy will be the new manager of Leicester City, which
news to me.
Yeah, he's the odds-on favorite, which, I'm fucking stoked for.
Yeah, I'm happy we already played him then.
Yeah, Ruud's at the wheel, baby. Come on now. But Chelsea's just finding a way, man. We've talked about it, and I think what's interesting about Chelsea in this point is I think because they're still riding the wave of the last two seasons, if they start dropping points, I don't think anyone would be surprised, but I think that also if they keep producing results like this, no one's going to be surprised either. So I think the season could really go either way from this point moving forward.
100%. And luckily for us, the next stretch of games for us have been the easiest so far.
Yeah.
Like we had the third hardest schedule to start the season. And so the fact that we're in third right now, like I said before, I would have never thought that in a million years. So I think like this Leicester performance wasn't brilliant from us, and I think we got a win. And like obviously there was a point when we were winning 1-0 that I was like, we need another goal. Like we have to score again because if not, I don't think this lead is comfortable. So like I definitely think there's some things we got to work out, but I think the strength of our schedule right now is going to be very much in our favor, and obviously the depth that we have is just absolutely disgusting still.
Mm-hmm. Dude, last piece on Steve Cooper. I sent you guys this tweet. No one interacted with it. He's managed 67 Premier League games, and he's only won at 4 grounds.
I didn't realize that is who was coaching Leicester City at the time, I guess.
Yeah, like he does his own little roundabout of relegation teams, but that's insane.
That is wild.
To have a career, I could get a couple wins in 67. Like
I was gonna say, get Bradley Carnell in there. We see some results. We see some results. And listeners, it's November 25th, which means we're only about a month away from the second most exciting time of the year, which is Chelsea's January transfer window. It's only to be rivaled by their summer transfer window. So who knows who they're going to sign to make this team even better?
Give us 10.
Dude, that's the thing. You all have to get a keeper, and I don't know who it's going to be, but holy shit, Robert Sanchez cannot be the guy.
I agree with every single tweet that I've ever seen is if we want to be title contenders, Robert Sanchez
have to
not be our keeper. So,
but again, who? That's I don't know, bro.
Looks like Matt Turner.
How much you guys watched Chelsea when we weren't doing that well, but Petrovic, I didn't mind. I didn't think he was bad.
I didn't think he was bad either, for real.
I was shocked with the immediate Sanchez is our starter, and
he's a really good shot stopper. I don't remember him with his feet though. I don't remember if Petrovic was good
enough. I don't think I saw him enough for him to get comfortable with his feet. But
and he was also in that Chelsea squad that couldn't figure anything else out. Right, so true. I mean, man is just sketchy as fuck.
Yeah.
Sanchez, I don't know. It's wild.
An incredible shot stopper. There's some moments where he'll save one, and I'm like, okay, maybe that's why we paid so much for him. But
I don't know.
The ball hits his foot, I'm like, please just kick it as far as.
And if you're forcing the style of play that he has to be able to do that, It just has to change. And I'm kind of surprised by that too, because he played at Brighton, bro. He played on some of those pretty technical Graham Potter teams and stuff. Not the same.
By the way.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can't remember his name right now, so this is going to be a fucking stupid point. But there's a keeper, a really young keeper, Dutch keeper at Brighton right now. I wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea go in for him.
Is it
Bruggen or something?
Bruggen, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really solid with his feet. Great shot stopper. I wouldn't be surprised if that's the signing. But
sorry, I just Googled it because I was curious what keepers would even be potentially available. And it looks like
David De Gea has been balling at Fiorentina, bro.
I mean, yeah, but it looks like they're looking at Leicester's keeper, Hermansson.
I don't even know.
Mads Hermansson.
Sure.
Couldn't tell you.
Probably be the cheapest signing in the last 3 years.
His name's Mads.
Mads Hermansson.
Speaking of Mads, shout out Madison Kunkel. It's her birthday today. Shout out Dobes. Madison Kunkel. Happy birthday. Last but not least, fellas, we got to talk about the most boring team in the league, Arsenal Football Club.
The Gooners.
Won 3-0 about Liverpool, but continue on. I'm cool with that.
No, the most annoying team.
Liverpool's the most annoying team.
Why are we the most boring?
Because you guys just fucking sucks to watch.
Good.
Dude,
good banter.
Here's the deal. I
play like 12 defenders.
We have this podcast every week. I know that I'm going to be accountable to talking about this game every week, and I turn in for Arsenal, and I'm just like, what a fucking snooze fest every single game. It just sucks.
A snooze fest?
Now, I will say, Thomas Partey, but his goal, awesome. It was great.
Saka's goal?
Whatever. Don't care.
Better.
It's just... No, Thomas Partey, bro.
Thomas
Partey has scored like 1 goal in 1.5 million matches, and that goal just happened.
So we're talking about who scored, not the actual goal itself.
No, the actual goal was better than Saka's for sure. Saka just cut inside and got a couple defenders to bite. Like, it's just not that.
And then went back across the grain and hit a fucking piss missile.
Okay, awesome. Woo, go Saka. That's great. Woo, we love him. Talk about Arsenal, Lucas.
I've not seen either of these goals. I'm going to pull them up live, and I'll give you my genuine reaction.
Saka's was inside the box. Partey's was outside. Partey's was more of like a curler away from the keeper. Saka's was back against the grain, but he did a couple stutters and, like Hen said, got a couple defenders to bite and then just kicked the shit out of it.
It's
it wasn't even like the top corner. He hit it so hard,
the type of goal that I like is the Thomas Partey's goal.
No, that's fair. That's definitely more of like a messy goal.
Yes.
As well, like more placement, not pace. So I understand that. But personally, neither of those were my favorite goal of the match. Ethan Nwunari.
Yeah, bro. Baller.
9th youngest Premier League goal scorer, scored his first Premier League goal for Arsenal.
Hanging in the rafters.
Thank you. Second youngest Arsenal player behind Mr. Cesc Fabregas. Yeah, but
Butch said, "That's a man I like."
I like that boy.
That's my boy.
No, but I think regardless of who you support, it's so cool to see a lot of these youngsters in the Prem scoring goals. I'm really excited about him. We last month we signed him to a 5-year deal, and I think he's going to be a really fun player to watch moving forward. And this may be a hot take, may not, but in my eyes, I don't think it's that hot of a take. But before I get to that, I do wish I was talking to one of my Arsenal buddies, and
that was a crazy statement.
Yeah, I know. I'm just building the suspense. Yeah, building the suspense. But because I want to end it with that statement when talking about him. But
you're gonna take us on.
I was talking to one of my other Arsenal buddies, and we were talking about why he wasn't used more when Odegaard was injured. Truthfully, don't have an answer to it, but I obviously wish he would have, because watching him in that game and some of the other matches where he's gotten substitute minutes, he looks so confident on the ball. and I know that a lot of these youngsters that we talk about, including Yamal and guys like that
Like
you know
Mikey
are
Moore too.
sure
If
that
you've never
are
heard of him,
that are just
name our
balling
regen.
that are just balling at their age. I don't see a world where if Nwunari gets Yamal kind of minutes to sort of prove himself in that way, why he doesn't end up getting talked about in a similar way. I see him as that kind of player, especially for Arsenal over the next 5
Your
years.
hot
So
take is you think he's as good as Yamal.
didn't say that.
Oh,
Did you listen to what I said, Nick?
I did, and that's what I was trying to ask.
I said if he gets the kind of minutes that Yamal gets at Barcelona, if Nwunari
Then
gets
they're
that at Arsenal to prove himself, I can see him being in a similar conversation to that kind of caliber of youngster.
Yeah, I think that's
Lucas.
a wild statement.
What did I start with? Probably a hot take, but I'm gonna say it anyways.
I know.
It's like you guys are selective listeners.
It's
wild.
The whole thing. I'm just bantering. I think that's a hot take. I agree with you.
Thank you. Yeah, Hen, you look distraught over there.
It's just
Me talking about one of my youngsters.
It's a
when
fucking
it's not,
stupid
when it's,
statement.
Yeah,
It's just a
that's
fucking
fair.
stupid statement.
Okay.
It's like Lamine Yamal is doing things on a world stage at the Euros
And
that like not many
balling.
17-year-olds can do. And
Right.
he's balling. And he's
Yeah.
forcing his way
And
into the
that's
starting
sick.
11 every single time. And you're telling me that a man, if he got the
he's
game
working
time,
on it. Came on, looked super confident on the ball, scored a goal.
if he got the game time, brother, be good enough to force the game time. Be good enough to where you have no other choice. Like who? Like who? Lamine Yamal.
Yeah.
That's who's good enough to do that, bro.
You mean Yamal starts in Arsenal?
wow. I mean,
Does he
I don't
not?
yeah.
You would put Saka anywhere else. You'd put Saka on the other
I'd
wing.
play him at wing back, and then I'd put Yamal at right wing.
I don't know.
That would solve your left wing problem pretty damn quick. Put Saka over there.
We have a left wing problem.
Yeah, bro. Yes.
Bro.
How do we have a left wing problem? Our problem is striker and no proper backup for
What do
Saka.
you mean? Gabriel Jesus was great. He was super imperative in the
He
build.
was super average.
I thought he was good.
He was
goated.
super average.
Oh my god, no! I thought he was awesome. What?
Yeah, well, that's your take,
Like
but
2 weeks ago, I thought you were saying his world.
huh?
You said that this kid would be like Lamine Yamal.
Okay.
Keep going.
Did any of you guys watch this game?
The
Yeah,
only,
bro. I watched the whole
Yeah.
thing. He was awesome. His goal was fucking awesome, bro. It was so good. It's
Okay.
just there's levels to this game.
Yeah.
And that's why okay. Understood.
I think the only part that you're wrong here in is this is his first goal in the Premier League, and then that's, obviously, if he does do what he's doing, then that's the natural comparison because they're both so young, and he deserves those plaudits, but it's so early.
Right, for sure. It's also the fourth.
I said hot take.
It's also the fourth goal he's had for us this season in his limited minutes, which makes him our third highest goal scorer
I will
on the team.
I will say
Across all
every time I watch that kid, I'm like, kid's a fucking baller, bro. Like I don't think he's gonna be at Arsenal for like the entire length of his 5-year contract. I think he's elsewhere so soon, but he's something special.
And that's why it puzzled me, like why they were putting Trossard in Odegaard's spot when he was injured. Like that seemed like a perfect time to introduce him.
I think the only thing that I would have questions about is just what Arteta's opinion is of academy players, because don't get me wrong,
they're
like,
way different than Real Madrid, who hasn't seen an academy player start on the first team.
But think about it, like I know that Saka came from the academy, and I think Saliba came through the academy as well. But like under Arteta, I don't remember a whole lot of academy players shining in the first team, and that's not necessarily a reflection of Arteta, because a lot of those academy players were in the system before Arteta got there. This is really, I feel like, one of the first academy players that we've seen be integrated into the first team from Arsenal. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't like pay attention like that. But like I can look at kind of all of our teams and I can see where the academy system has come through. This is really the first one that we've seen make at least a little bit of an impact on the first team under Arteta. Because I think like Saliba was, but then he was out on loan for a year and he got like slowly integrated back. I don't know, but this kid's young as fuck and he's doing it.
He's a child.
Yeah, 17.
I do want to
Bush could coach him.
I
Literally
do want to
true.
question though, Winks, because I do think you're a reasonable Arsenal fan, and I have some friends who are not so that.
Everyone does.
If Chelsea finishes above Arsenal, is Arteta's job on the hot seat?
I don't think that'll happen, so I'm not worried about it.
Okay. But let's say what if? Let's say it does. Is it on the hot
What
seat?
if?
Yeah.
What's that? Have you seen that?
Well, we're currently ahead of you right now.
We're tied in points, but okay.
No, if you look at the table.
Because you have 2 more goals for.
Yes, that's how it works. Welcome to the Prem.
I'm gonna let you have this because you haven't had a lot of it since the beginning of last year.
Smart man, Lucas.
I mean, yeah, I think that
Okay.
like we kind of talked about it earlier this year with how we finished last year. You know, the title has always been the goal. Trophies has always been the goal. Obviously,
God,
that
that'd be
hasn't
so
happened in the way
harsh.
that he did it. But I also think it's tough when you look at his body of work, not from a trophy winning perspective, but just from like the quality of players he's acquired. You know, with Edu, but also through the end of the season, depending on what happens in January. I agree, Hen. It would be like harsh if it was solely on the notion of Chelsea finishing above us. You know, given the dollar amount they've been allowed to spend versus what we have, I feel like that's a tough reason to fire a manager. But I think that like not winning the Prem will be like a big indicator because obviously that's been a club goal since 20 years ago.
I think he's on the hot seat if you go trophyless at all. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't even matter what position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going to be a tough one because it will be harsh because I think history will look back fondly on Arteta in the sense of restoring a little bit because you have to remember where Arsenal were before he came in. Arsenal was a non-factor. But here's the thing, Nick, like at least when you're going into playing Arsenal right now, you're having to put in your top level performance. And like I'm not saying that he'll be looked back on as the best manager to ever manage Arsenal or in the Premier League. But think about it. Like, I don't think that he's top 5 in the Premier League. He probably will go down as top 5 within Arsenal Football Club. But
I don't know if he will. He didn't win him anything.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like you look at Arne Slot. Like if he goes on to win the title, he's already rivaling what Jurgen Klopp did in like 96 years that he was there. So it's like if we're only looking at titles, it just is what it is. But I think it would be harsh, but I think it would be a really big signaling to what Arsenal, capital A Arsenal, like the whole club is really trying to go towards if they let go of Arteta at the end of the season with no trophies.
I'm just interested to see how long they're going to hang on to him. Like, I want to know.
That's the thing. Yeah. Like, how much of a leash does he actually have?
Yeah. Like, because like, at how many times can he have the excuse of like, oh, he's building us a better future. Like, when is it going to be like, oh, we need to win a title or we need.
It is the future. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, even you look at like someone like Carlo Ancelotti, he didn't win everywhere that he went. Jose Mourinho didn't win everywhere that he went. Like these guys, they might win trophies, but not every. I have no doubt that Arteta is going to go on to be a very successful manager later down the line. Like he's also still so young in his managerial career. Like you give him another 20 years at this thing, man. Like Arsenal may not be the club that he gets it done, but fucking A, like. Who says that Real Madrid or Barcelona doesn't come calling or another team in Spain comes calling, back in his country? Like it may just happen for him. Arsenal just may not be the club.
But it also might. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, you never know.
And I said it, I guess 2 weeks ago now. but your first half of season can look way different than the second half. And now that Odegaard's back and looking at even our next, what is it, like 10 games across all competitions through the rest of the year, we've got a Liverpool type set of games coming through the end of the year where it's all bottom half teams. So I like our odds to take points away from every single one of these games, both domestic and foreign, through the rest of the year, and I think that puts us in a really good position. But I think this game, especially knowing how relatively informed Forest has been so far this season, I thought defensively we played phenomenal.
True.
Was a masterclass back there for sure. All four of I like Benny Blanco. I like the way that he combines with Saka on the right wing and even Odegaard at times. Those three are really fun to watch. But seeing Timber play at right back, which is his natural position, and then Calafiori on the left, which is his natural position, that back four was extremely fun to watch. And then on top of that, it was weird because I think we had 5 substitutes that game compared to the starting 11 we've put out most of the season. No Declan Rice, no Kai Havertz, and no Martinelli. But Mikel Merino was able to play that true left 8 that he had previously played, and he looked so comfortable with Calafiori really locking down the left side of the field. So I don't know what it was, but that was like a different, and I know that Nottingham aren't the most offensively threatening team, but like they've looked really good up until this
score
point
goals,
this year.
man. Yeah.
So seeing the way that we played defensively outside of Odegaard assisting Saka was one of the biggest bright spots of the game for me. That I think, because we scored 3 goals, might have gone a little bit underrated during that game. But I wouldn't mind to see that back four through the rest of the year whatsoever.
For sure.
As long as they can stay fit.
What do you have midweek? Do you know who you're playing?
Sporting.
Be interesting.
New manager bounce.
They like to attack. They fly forward. So we'll see. It'll be a good competition. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up with a segment of here's the question that I have for each one of you, and we're going to go through each one of our teams. But if you could take one player from another Premier League club to fix your team's biggest problem, who would it be and why? One player from another Premier League club to fix your biggest problem, who and why? Nikki, who is it?
Give me Ederson and net.
That's actually a good one that you would splash the bag.
That was so much confidence.
Yeah, he was like, yeah,
Ederson and net.
That's not bad.
Come again.
You think that would fix the majority of your problems though? Just a ball playing keeper.
I feel a lot more confident in the way we play. Like, we try to build a lot out of the back, and we put Sanchez in these situations where he has to make a decision. And I think if we had a keeper like Ederson, a lot of those goals and shutouts that we're not getting will be eliminated.
Yeah. The only other position that I could see is
center back.
A center back.
I was going to say a winger.
Really?
They have like 80.
I was like, what came to mind? I was like, I think they're pretty deep at winger. I don't know. I think they're pretty good.
We're good on that.
All right. If you could take one player from another Premier League club to fix your team's biggest problem, who and why?
I want Alexander Isak.
Yeah,
I think he's that tall, lanky, pacey, technical, composed player that we need up top to both, finish chances both in the air and on the ground, but also provide, that sort of block off, hold up play when we need it to. I think he would be. And it's not out of the question.
I was going to
say
us in January. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's a very real, which I think is kind of a double whammy for this question for me.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if in January, just because of the new like with Edu being gone, I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal goes and like splashes in January to like
a
let
little
the rest of the world.
statement signing for sure.
Exactly. I could see that. Newcastle's been regressing this season. Like they're not going to be in Champions League. So Max Lippel, hold that L. I just think that it could be a big signing.
Man, I hate this game. I mean, so I have a new issue today. That is, my starting keeper is out for months because he broke his ankle. My quick fire and cop out response is current form Andre Onana.
Let's go, boy! Come on! The man who we said was going to win the Golden Glove last year that regressed so hard. Let's go.
The only reason I'm even going him is because Allison's hurt. So if we're talking about a healthy Allison,
better than him. I think Ederson's better than him.
I think he's been pretty good, and I think
Mario's better than him.
I've got my own thoughts about Vicario. This is not about him. This is about him being gone for months.
I think Sanchez and Onana are comparable.
That's
Stop,
laughable.
Nick.
That's
Nick.
laughable. No,
Nick.
Andre Onana
Nick.
this year, compared to last year and compared to what we've seen, he is considerably better, and he's actually really the only consistent player on United right now.
That's very true. Thank you.
They have not a lot of consistency.
Thank you.
And he's been extremely admirable. So that's my quick fire cop out. Also, I'd take Virg. Sue me. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Yeah.
That's a
Butchie, if you could take one player from another Premier League club to fix your team's biggest problem, who would it be and why?
Butch, you can have him. It's okay.
Dude, I'm stuck between two blokes. Fuck.
It's okay, man. You don't need to act like you know ball or anything. You can just say whatever's on your heart, man.
He's that good. He's really that good, Butch.
Who?
Mr.
Cole Palmer.
I don't want Cole Palmer, bro.
You need him, though. You need him.
I'm not gonna lie. I didn't even think about Cole Palmer for this question. Wasn't even in my realm.
Y'all need him.
Based on what we need the most, I'm going. The American that talks like a Brit. Anthony Robinson.
Love it. Anthony Robinson.
We're gonna need a left back.
That makes a ton of sense.
It does. I think Anthony Robinson's just going to be a hot buy this summer, whoever goes in for him. There's a lot of teams that could use him.
I was also torn between, because I think he's a dude, I was torn between him and Nwunari from Wolves because he's a fucking stud. And he's 4 years younger than Robinson. So I was like,
You think back is what you need right now, though?
Bro, it's what we're going to need. 100%, brother.
You think... I guess Darwin to me is, you think he's your starting striker?
Bro, we are fine with Darwin. We are fine.
Okay.
Fine.
Yeah. When this question was posed and I thought of Liverpool, that was the first position I thought of. I didn't think left back.
No, we have the best. We have the best.
They're
set
top
of
of the table.
Players is crazy.
They're top of the table and have scored second most goals in the Prem, so I don't know if like goal scoring is necessary. I agree. I don't think goal scoring is necessarily
not coming from the striker though.
But we have so many forwards.
It's not coming from my striker either. He's doing all right though.
Yeah. And for Manchester United, if Manchester United could take any player from another Premier League club, I think it would be Declan Rice. I still think that of all of the areas that Manchester United needs to improve upon, I think we still need that tempo setter. We need the heartbeat of the team to just constantly do the running, play the easy pass, and the leadership in the middle of the field. So I feel like if I could splash the bag on a Premier League player, that's who it would be to fix the majority of our problems.
Hen, there is this guy that has a resurrected hairline, and he scores a lot of goals.
Oh, word.
Gabriel Mangales?
Fantastic.
Rob Holding? Who are you talking about?
Dude, Rob Holding's hairline's elite now.
Rob Holding. Yeah, dude.
I think Gabriel's got as many goals as Pedro Neto does, so I don't...
That's true. That's
crazy.
Gentlemen, I think that officially concludes tonight's episode of the Mecca of Banter podcast. Thanks for listening. It was a little bit longer of an episode, but that means the banter is good, and that's what we are here for. I want to invite you all to interact on social media, whether it's the TikTok, the Twitter, the Instagram. We will be so back after the Thanksgiving holiday next week, where we have the Black Friday fixtures. Yeah, we'll be so back, Nick. We'll be so back. Thanks for sticking around, and until next week, cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Cheers, boys.
Boys.